So, Mr. Governor, are you saying that you are not going to tell your various county officials to issue marriage licenses?
In fact, that's what the Texas governor is basically saying. If it violates their religious liberty, they're not to issue them.
But the ones who say, I believe in this, they're going to still issue them. So the point is where...
Well, if you got a constitutional... It depends on what your constitution, state constitution says. In our state constitution in Alabama, 81% adopted it and said that it is between one man, one woman. That's the law of the state.
So could conceivably, and could a governor be within the law?
Yes.
And say, we're instructing all of our officials, you are to not issue these. We will not honor this decision. We will not abide by it.
And again, when you say within the law, that means what law? And the only law we have is the United States Constitution. The opinion of justice is applied. If it's outside that Constitution, it's not law.
I agree completely. I'll be honest with you. There's people that are watching you right now and listening to you, and their insides are churning because they're watching their country die.
Well,
and they're looking for people to be heroes. They're looking for people to be leaders, to lead us out of this mess, and to stand up to these people. So, what words do those leaders use? What passion must burn in their soul? What's their guiding light?
Well, it varies from state to state. Some governors have just said, well, I'm going to follow the law. And they refer to the justice's opinion. And many say, well, that's now the law of the land. And I keep reminding reporters and people that ask me that the law of the land is not the opinion of a court. Courts don't make law. We all learned that in, schools. Courts don't make laws. Who makes laws? Congress and legislatures. So it's not a law Congress made. The legislature makes laws, and then we have the constitutional amendments, which are laws. And if there's no word about marriage in it, then how do they invent the word to mean something it's never meant?
Well, let's say that...
Then they find fundamental rights that are not in the Constitution. The fundamental rights, by their own history, is something that's in the long history and tradition of a nation. Same-sex marriage is not in the long history and tradition of a nation. So it can't be a fundamental right.
Right.
It's a fundamental right because marriage between a man and woman is a fundamental right because it was there to procreate and to educate and maintenance of children.
The first church. What do you think would happen if one governor in this union said, we're not doing it. We're not going to issue licenses. We will not honor licenses from another state. This is a tyrannical ruling. It's completely outside the rule of law, and we're not going to abide by it.
We would certainly call into question the United States Supreme Court ruling, and people would start looking at it pretty well. And it would also be an interposition between the people and a higher authority. And this has happened throughout our history. In fact, it's the reason we're here as a nation.
As Americans.
Because 56 men in the Declaration of Independence interposed. They were representatives of the colonies.
They were representatives of rump parliaments in 13 colonies.
That's right, and they interposed between the people and the King of Great Britain and Parliament of England. And
what do you think the federal government do? What do you think Obama and Holder...
I have no idea what President Obama would do in anything.
If... I'm going way out on a limb here, but I've been thinking about this. If a state said, we're not doing it, Texas has in the treaty that they had with the U.S. government to come in as a state, they retained the right to withdraw from the union. If Texas or some other state said, we're done killing our babies, we're done with homosexual marriage, we're done with the tyranny of the federal government and the federal judiciary and the Supreme Court, we're leaving. And we're going to make it a crime again to kill babies, and we're going to protect marriages between a man and a woman.
I don't know what would happen. I mean, it hadn't been done except,
over a bad reason for the slaves, the state right to own a slave. There was no right to own a human being.
Yeah,
so that was a false state right.
That's right.
Well, friend, as I said to you, this is one of the most brilliant minds in all of America, and concisely, unapologetically, God-centered. I encourage you Call your senators, especially call Ted Cruz, and say, begin impeachment proceedings against the justices who voted for this. These 5 justices can and should be impeached. It's our right, it's our duty to throw them out for this godless, lawless decision. If you like what you're seeing and hearing on this program, we invite you to help us financially. We are completely listener and viewer supported. So if you're being blessed, if you're enjoying it, please help us if you can. But no matter what, pray for us and let's fight like heck to get these judges out of office.